Today's video is brought to you by Arium EEG, a remote EEG monitoring company.
The man, the myth, the legend. If you've been in EEG long, chances are you've heard of Dr. Hans Berger. But did you know Dr. Berger's first love was astronomy? In 1891, he took off to Berlin to study mathematics in hopes of learning about deep space. So how did he go from astronomy to inventing the EEG? Well, we're about to find out in today's episode. It was at Friedrich Schiller University in Jena, Germany, when young Hans packed his bags and headed out to college. And it was only after 1 year when he quickly realized what a lot of us realize at some point. School's hard. But did that stop him from pursuing his goals? Yeah. Actually, it did. Just after 1 year of college, young Hans decided to quit school and enlist himself in the cavalry. And it was one fateful day during this period that changed his life forever. You see, Hans was in the cavalry, and cavalry back then meant that you were a soldier who fought on horseback. One day, during one of his training sessions, Hans's horse reared back and flung him to the ground. Now don't worry, he was fine, but something strange happened later. Sensing that her brother was in some sort of trouble, Hans's sister from kilometers away sent a telegraph to check in on him. This incident made such an impression on him that he was convinced that there was a mental connection between him and his sister. So much so that he would later write in his diary,
"It was a case of spontaneous telepathy, in which at a time of mortal danger, I transmitted my thoughts and my sister was the receiver."
Now, if this sounds odd to you, remember, this is the late 19th century, and even to this day, the brain is a world of mystery. So back to Hans. It was this strange event that aroused Berger's obsession with the brain. This inspired him to change his studies from astronomy to medicine when he went back to college to study the physiology of psychic energy. After graduating with his medical degree, he spent a few years as a senior lecturer at his university, where he was also experimenting on inventing devices that could record the brainwaves of dogs. He poured hours into his new invention, which he would later deem the electroencephalogram, or EEG for short. When World War I came along, he had to put his studies on pause while he served as a psychiatrist on the Western Front. A few years after the war, Berger resumed experimenting with EEGs, but this time, he wanted to perform on humans. In 1924, he recorded his first human EEG on his son Klaus. But Hans wasn't convinced that he had invented something extraordinary just yet. It wasn't until 5 years later when Hans finally got the nerve to publish his findings. It was in this publication that the alpha rhythm, also known as a Berger rhythm, was described for the very first time. Initially, Berger's observations weren't well accepted by the medical community. This affected him so badly that he began to struggle with depression and suicidal thoughts. Over the next few years, he would endure hardships both in his life and his career. It wasn't until 1937 when his work was actually taken serious by his peers. But unfortunately for Berger, his struggle with self-doubt and suicidal thoughts never subsided, and he took his life in 1941. You know, I can't help but think how delighted he would be to see how far his invention had come. Cheers to you, Dr. Berger.